Welcome to Small Business Big Visibility. We are so fortunate to be able to talk with Joe Mikitish today. He is a serial entrepreneur, business owner. Joe, how many businesses have you owned or do own?
Well, I've started 16.
Okay.
16 businesses. I will say that not all of them succeeded, though. So I'll put that caveat on it.
Well, sure. Any business owner has experienced that pretty much.
Yeah.
So 16 businesses. How many years has that been to do 16?
This will be 26 years.
Wow.
This year.
So that's one every 2 years, and pretty much.
Essentially.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what's your story?
Well, I guess that's kind of an interesting question. So I'm an Army brat. I count myself from Montana. I spent most of my childhood in and out of Montana, working with my family up there, doing logging, all kinds of roofing work, construction stuff, reading business books in the winter because it was dang cold. My grandpa had a pretty cool library, and so that's what got me started on the journey. I did go to college in Montana, and then went to work for big tech companies out of school, and then started my own business. And my very first one was in 1999.
Okay. So what caused you to go from working big tech to your own little startup?
It was just always that entrepreneur, wanted to control my own destiny. I wanted more freedom of my time, which at the beginning did not give me that. And maybe some would say I don't even have that now. I work more than I ever did when I worked big tech or for big companies, but the work is more fulfilling. So I do have the freedom to go where I want when I want. It was 2 o'clock in the afternoon yesterday, and I was working on my laptop in a cigar shop. Can't do that when you work for a big corporation. So that was kind of the ultimate dream, was to run my own business, set my own destiny, do what I want, and make all my own decisions.
Gotcha. Yep. So what was the first business?
It's actually a tech company.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, we did IT support. We go around to small businesses, medium-sized businesses. We ended up doing big businesses, but really our idea was the small business that couldn't afford good tech help. So we brought people from the big companies we worked with, or companies that I knew that had good technology people. I would bring those type of people who were used to servicing the biggest 50 companies in the world. I would bring them to a tiny little business and go, hey, here's your tech person.
Wow.
And that was a good selling point. It allowed us to charge a lot more than our competitors.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, I mean, when you're bringing that level of expertise, they'll solve the problem in a tenth the time.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that was our selling point. Was you're used to small business tech people, and then what if we brought you big business tech people that were better communicators, understood business at a higher level, and could actually have a conversation about technology can do this for your company.
Gotcha. Yeah. So how did you go from this kid who's doing blue-collar construction work and reading business books into tech? Like, was tech always something you grew up in studying, or how did that happen?
I just had an aptitude for it.
Okay.
When you think of people that are savants with things, where they can look at something and understand how it works, I had that with technology.
Oh, okay.
Where I would run into a new piece of tech I'd never seen before, never heard about before, and the person who's selling it, or the engineer who created it, starts describing it to me, and then I'm like, hold on, let me guess, it does all of these things, and this is how it was built, and this is how it was structured. And they're like, how'd you know that? Like, I was reading their white paper on how they built it. But I just had an aptitude for it, and I could speak to people, which seems weird because I was homeschooled, it's that social effect of being homeschooled, right? But I could explain complex technology things to lay people, to business owners, to decision makers at big companies. So, the chief operations officer of a huge corporation, I could explain to them how the technology would affect their overall operations of their business in a way that they would understand. So I was able to bridge the gap between tech nerd and business consultant.
Gotcha. So you can speak tech and you can still speak human.
Right.
Got
exactly.
It. That's a rare combo.
And to answer your question on how I got into that, it was just I just fell into it. I started doing it when I was in college. Computers were breaking on the campus, and they were like, "Who can fix this stuff?" And I'm like, I don't know how to do it, but I'll figure it out. Mm-hmm. And then I realized that the people who were getting paid by the school to fix the computers, I was faster and better at it than them. And I'm like, hey, man, this is something I should do.
Yeah.
And I really got into tech because of just the opportunities just started popping up. Once I put it out there, that's what I was doing. Opportunity after opportunity after opportunity showed up. Almost manifested it.
So you've got this huge variety of background, right?
Yeah.
What would you say was the most inspirational moment you've ever experienced?
I think the most inspirational moment was probably in 2004, 2005. I was going to a lot of conferences. Around that time, I decided to stop spending all my time becoming a great technologist and becoming a great business owner. And I'm like, what if I spent the 20 to 30 hours a week that I was educating myself on technology, and I spent all of that time educating myself on business? What would that do? And I was at a Tony Robbins event. This would have been early 2004, maybe late 2003, and I just moved to Idaho in 2003 from Texas, and moved here, and I went to actually 3 of his events over a 3-year period. I went to one every single year. So I can't remember exactly which one it was because they kind of blend together.
Sure.
If you've ever been to one of his events, they're intense. They're 3 days. I think those were 3 days, immersive events. And there was a branding guy there that got up and he started talking about branding, and he started talking about being an expert in branding. And one of the things that he kicked me off on, from the stage, was always wear a name badge, always be looking at branding opportunities, and be a master of what it is that you're talking about. So, and that's a way to brand yourself, is to be an expert. I'm like, well, am I an expert in business? Back then, no, absolutely not. I made more mistakes than I could possibly imagine. I took bad advice from bad coaches and bad educators. We were just talking about that before we got started on here, bad business coaches. And a lot of them led me down the wrong path. I lost a lot of money, did business deals with bad business owners and bad partners, and on and on and on. The most inspirational moment back to that was when he got up on the stage and he was like, "You need to be a master." And I'm like, okay. So I'm flying back to Boise. I actually went and got a name badge because he said, "Go get a name badge and always wear one." And now I always wear one. But I was flying back and sitting in the Denver airport, and we got the flight delayed. It was snowing, whatever. And this guy comes over from across the, in the little food court area, comes all the way across the airport. And he's like, "Joe, I haven't seen you in forever." He's like, "Honestly, I was nervous to come talk to you because I couldn't remember your name. But then I saw you had a name badge on."
Oh, wow.
And so he sat down, we had a couple beers, had a good conversation. He left, and then we ended up doing $1 million in business together. And what that inspired me to do was seek out people who are masters and experts in their space. And knowing people are not experts and masters at everything, spend time with the people who have an expertise in that. Like a branding person, find somebody who's an expert in branding, spend time with them to learn branding. Gotcha. And that led me down that journey. I was spending a bunch of money on finding coaches and educators.
Good coaches,
Good coaches.
Yeah.
And those people are typically not cheap. I would say on average I spent $100,000 per mentor, paying them to mentor me.
Dang, that's a fair chunk of change.
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
Look at the dividends that it paid.
Absolutely, yeah. So I'm curious. You've worked with a lot of business owners over the years, consulted a bunch, coached a bunch, helped more than you probably can even remember. What is the biggest or a big misconception that small business owners have that you wish you could just pull out of their brain and put the right information in?
There's so many. One is that all business coaches are equal, made equal, that they can find somebody in their hometown that'll take their business to the next level. And I'm kind of on this kick lately, because it seems like everywhere I go lately, every coffee shop I sit in or everywhere I'm having lunch, there's somebody who calls themselves a coach sitting across from somebody who's a newbie business owner. And I can't help but listen to the advice they're giving them. And every time I'm over there going, should I save this person that they're talking to, from it? But the misconception is that bad advice won't hurt you, and of the things that have hurt me the most, I would say bad advice is in the top 3. Taking bad advice from people is in the top 3. So, obviously doing business with the wrong people is at the top of the list. Right. But, I would say number 2 is not properly vetting the people that you're getting advice from.
So is that how you save yourself from the bad advice, is by vetting them more?
Yeah, vetting them more, and like the Bible says, look at the fruit of the tree, right? And that's the only thing you can do is find other people that they've worked with that have seen success. Because there's giving advice and there's people taking advice, right? So for example, I've given, like you said, I've worked with a lot of business owners. I would say maybe 15%, 10 to 15% actually do the things that I tell them to do, and there's good reason for that, and that reason is what I tell them to do is hard work. 100% it's hard work. I am not here to baby you or make you feel better or go, everything's going to be okay. That's what your mom's for, and I'm not your mom. So, what I'm here to do is tell you what hard things to do to take your business, your life, your wealth, whatever, to the next level. And those people who actually do it are the fruit of what I'm doing, right? So, you look at those people and the success they have where they take a business that's, say, doing $250,000 the year before they meet me, and then they meet me, and then they do $1.2 million in revenue the next year. Yeah. To some people, that's not a lot of money, but how many businesses get $1 million in revenue? Very few, very few, right? And so, and that happens with me time and again and again and again. But if you look at most of the coaches that are out there, and you talk to the people who have had the most success, always ask them, hey, I need 5 people that you've worked with that you would say that your relationship is successful. Call those people and go, how did that relationship with that coach or that expert help your business? And then what were the results? Where were you before? Where are you now? And be honest with me, because if I'm going to spend $10, $20, $30, $40,000, $100,000 with somebody, I want to make sure that investment's going to pay a return. Like, I talk to people about investments all the time. Whether you're investing time or money, and time is the biggest investment, you're going to spend time and money with somebody. It's just like if you bought a stock in the stock market. And people are like, Warren Buffett says in the stock market, most of the time, there's a lot of risk investing in the stock market, right? There's risk today, but over the long term, you're going to get a result. Well, in business, we don't have time to wait 30 years for an investment to play out. We just don't have that type of time. But people will spend endless amount of time researching a $10,000 investment that they're going to make in the stock market. But then they'll willy-nilly just huck 10 grand at a business coach that they've met one time or saw a video on YouTube once, and they're like, oh, I like this guy. Let me throw 10 grand at him. I'm like, well, what are you doing? You haven't even gone to any of their conferences that are $300. Start there, and then talk to the people who are sitting in the front row that are their, little Padawan learners, and find out what they did for them before you huck 10 grand at them. I've made that mistake. I actually, threw a lot of money at a coach, and then realized the $25,000 I gave him was a waste. And I'm like, wow, I should probably not do that. So all these things I'm telling you came from my mistakes.
So all those mistakes, what would you count as one of your big successes?
I think the biggest success is. It's more, it's not even business necessarily, like my own business, although it's tied to it. It's the personal satisfaction of waking up in the morning and you get a text like I did this morning, where there's 2 business partners and their business has massively exploded since they met me. So when they met me, they were doing about $500,000 a year in business. They're doing about $3 million now. Wow. And what that does when there's more money involved in a business, maybe when you're doing $500,000, both of you are just grinding your butts off just to be not broke. Right?
Yeah.
And so you can overlook the things that irritate you. Bob is chewing with his dang mouth open every time we go to eat, and pissing me off. And so there's that level in business of like frustration people get. And so. But my biggest satisfaction is that they trust me to go, hey, we're having a problem in our business between us. We need you to sit down with us and work with us on fixing this before it becomes a big problem. Gotcha. So not only the satisfaction of seeing the growth in their business, and these are people who they follow probably 80% of what I'm telling them to do, because 100% would, kill some people, not literally, but it's a lot of work, you've gone through it and you know that it's like, it's hard work what I'm asking people to do.
Right.
And so, but that seeing the results of the fruits of their labor, the size of their business growth, and then their trust in me to help them resolve issues and get to the next level is, that's the thing about becoming a master, like the mastery of it. Do I know everything about business? No. Do I know more than most? I would fair to say, fair to say.
Yeah.
So since I started on that journey 20 years ago, I've read over 6,000 business books.
Whoa.
And I've spent I'm not going to say how much money I've spent on coaching because it's a ridiculous amount of money that some of it I shouldn't have spent, some of it I'm happy I did. But had I saved all that money and put it into simple real estate investment trusts, I would be very wealthy from what I've invested in my own education. But the most gratifying thing that I've done is that change, that moment of going, I want to be a master, and then seeing people come to me and go, you're the master, show us the way.
Gotcha.
So, yep.
So that's one of your big successes. Now, how do you balance work and personal family life?
That's a great question. I don't believe in the work-life balance. So I think that's a corporate phrase that they use to trick you into, continuing to be a slave. We care about you. We care about your work-life balance, which is a total lie, I think. And so some managers do, but as a corporation, they don't. That's not a focus for them. They're there to please the shareholders, which is great. Right. I'm a shareholder in a lot of those companies. I would like them to pay me. So. But as a small business owner, I do what's called the integrated life, right? So my kids, my wife, my business are all intertwined. So a lot of people are like, you've been to networking meetings where I got my daughter, she's like, from the time like 5, 6 years old, I'm bringing them to networking meetings. And I'm like, get up and stand in front of these 50 people and give our commercial. Yeah. And people are, and she's, of course, the first time she's terrified. The second time she's very confident because everybody clapped for her. And the third time she's working the room, And, when people create a separation of, like, they create a wall between their business and their kids and their family, and they're like, that's what the work-life balance is in their mind. What they do is they create resentment, right? The kids, when you're working, they resent that you're not spending time with them. When you're your wife or husband, when you're working on your business, which is a grind sometimes, and you got to grind it out, or you got to travel on a business trip, they're resentful of that. Where my family, when we talk about the business, they use words like our business. Our community, what we are building. And that's the difference. It's not my business. They're not like, Dad, it's your business. It's our business. Yeah. And that's how I balance it out. And when I have to work, the kids know that I'm working for us, not for me.
Right. Yeah, they know they'll benefit from that, and they have ownership in that. Yeah.
Exactly.
Makes a huge difference. Absolutely. So have you found any tools or strategies or techniques that really work that help people?
Oh, man. A lot, yes. But help people with what problem, right? So, give you an example of what I mean by this. So I'm in a room of 20 business owners. So we did the Business Builder Day, like a little event where for 6 hours I stood up in front of 40 business owners, and I'm like, what's the biggest problem you're having in your business? What's your goal for this year? What's stopping you from hitting it? And I had white-collar businesses in there, blue-collar businesses, brand new businesses, people who've been doing business for a while, people who are doing 100,000 in their business, people doing 10 million, right? And you think about the difference in problems each one of those businesses has. They all need they have a different problem, they have a different thing that fixes it, right? And to answer your question, yes, like every single one of those people on my little flip paper, I can go, what did you do last year? What are you doing this year? What do you want to do this year? And what's stopping you from hitting it in your mind? And I can give them a plan on how to fix that, whatever it is. It doesn't matter what it is. Yeah. And for 6 hours, I just stood in front of the room. I took a 15-minute break, and that was it. So for 5 hours and 45 minutes, I went through 3 markers and just one after another, after another, after another, business after business after business. What problems are you having? Here's how to fix it. And the question people have to have is, what's my biggest problem? And what's my time frame for fixing that problem? So here's something I learned from a guy who's very, very intelligent, maybe the most intelligent person I've ever met. And he in his businesses, what he does is on Monday, he finds out what the biggest problem he's having in his business. Okay. And he sets a deadline of Thursday evening to fix it. Wow. That week. So why all the rest of the businesses I've run into are planning a meeting, they're putting together a team, they're thinking about it, they're writing it down, they're talking to their partners, they're doing all this crap. That takes a month or 2 months. Meanwhile, their business is still languishing because of said problem.
Yeah.
He's fixed 4 or 5 problems.
Wow.
So if you think about that in a year, let's just say that he works 52 weeks in a year. So he's solved the 52 biggest problems he has in his business in a year.
He's going to run out of big problems.
He's going to run out of big problems, right? And so, and unsurprisingly, he's the richest man in the world, right? So think about how many businesses that guy's running. Everybody can guess who I'm talking about. How many businesses he's running, and in every business, he finds out what the biggest problem is in each one of those businesses on Monday morning and fixes them by Thursday.
Wow. That's incredible.
So if you can do that, even on a monthly, take your 12 biggest problems in a year, but shorten your time frame on fixing the problem. So if you've got a problem, so like we have a problem in our business, identified yesterday, right? And so it wasn't Monday, but I identified the problem. This is our biggest problem. And in the parking lot, coming in here, I'm out there fixing the problem, and I'm like, can I 100% fix the problem before we start this interview? No, but I got 90% of the way done. Nice. Enough that my team can operate using the thing I built the rest of the day until I can pretty it up and put the bow on it this evening. And so could I have scheduled a meeting with them and, build this out over the course of 2 weeks? Sure. Or I could fix it in the morning. I'd rather fix it in the morning. Yeah. So my time frame to fix it was 9:30 a.m. today when we started this. And so, and it's fixed for the most part. I just need to put some bows on it and make it look sexy. But the reality is now we can operate at a higher level today. So our biggest problem in the business that I identified yesterday is fixed. And so, my goal is every week to find the 2 biggest problems or 3 biggest problems. I prioritize what the biggest one is, and then I spend all my time and effort and energy on that one thing. Fix it, and my time frame is actually by Wednesday evening, because if I'm going to take time off, it's going to be on Thursdays and Fridays.
Gotcha.
So I like to relax on Friday, especially. That's my day for networking and relationship building, and I don't want to be working on problems.
Yep. Yeah, I like that a lot. That's a huge tip. Thank you for sharing that one.
You're welcome.
Yeah, what is your current business that you're running?
Yeah, so my current business I spend 99% of my time on is Blue Collar Connect. So, obviously you can see it's branded everywhere. Yeah. It's on my dang coffee mug, my giant coffee mug.
On your water as well?
And my water,
pull that out. This guy carries more liquid than anyone else I've met. I think he's part fish.
Yeah, half a gallon of water and like a quarter of a gallon of coffee over here. So branding super important, but yeah, so Blue Collar Connect it's a community and a mastermind for trades business owners. So you think your plumbers, electricians, carpet cleaners, anybody who works in and on homes or on office buildings, and people who put the walls on this thing. Those contractors and home services people, typically in the market, number one is they're completely ignored by most of the market, or minimized. Before I started this, I would go to networking events, and somebody who was a carpet cleaner would speak up on a business topic, and I would see all the white collar people rolling their eyes at them. It's very rude for them to do it, but it was just a natural thing. They're like uneducated, whatever. There's this perception of blue collar. And so I grew up, I count myself as growing up blue collar, and my wife, her dad's a house painter, and so she grew up blue collar. And when we're talking about who we're going to help next. So we were working with all kinds of businesses, you name it. So in a week, I would talk to 20, 30, 40 business owners, and they were all, a mixture of white collar, blue collar, they're starting businesses, they're at all these different phases, they're doing all this stuff. So I talked to you, I talked to somebody in the same hour, I would talk to somebody else who's a CPA and that helped them with their business. And then the next hour, I talked to somebody who's running a plumbing business, and so. Yeah. Which was really exciting for me because my brain had to shift gears constantly. Yeah, I'm like, what customers are you targeting? What problems do you have in your business? And so it made my brain work all day, which is fun. But I still have fun doing that. But what I really wanted to do was follow my own advice, which is find your target market, your niche market that you really can have the biggest impact for. So the way you do that is you find your top 50 clients. Hopefully you've had more than 50 clients by then. And so by the time we're having this conversation, take your top 50 clients. And these are the people, not necessarily the ones who spend the most money with you, although that's part of the equation, but they're the ones you're the most excited when they call you. and you wish you have this conversation regularly with other people, and you're like, if I could clone that person and have 50 or 100 clients just like them, I'd be so happy, right? And so you find the top clients like that, and of my top 50 clients, like 47 of them were in the trades.
Whoa.
They're blue collar. And I was like, how many more of them are out there? And the answer to that is a bunch. There's a bunch of them. And they needed my help. And so I just started meeting with them, having conversations with blue collar business owners, going, what's your biggest struggle? And I realized they get a lot of bad advice. The coaching that they have is terrible. Their relationships with the banks are no good. They typically have a hard time finding good service providers like you to help them out. And when they find service providers, usually they're overcharged, under-delivered, ignored, on and on and on. So they're just kind of the part of the business community that's not respected. Yeah. And so I'm like, I think I can fix a bunch of these problems. I think I can make them better business owners. I know I can. I know I can make them wealthy with using their business as an engine to do it. I know that I can fix the relationship they have with vendors by bringing in better quality vendors and almost convincing those people to work almost exclusively with our people, right? Because now we got a bunch of them. I can build relationships. I already have the relationships with the banks, and I can convince those banks it's a good idea to treat the blue collar business owners better and work with them. And so can I fundamentally restructure the whole market to be centered around blue collar?
Wow.
That was a big experiment.
That's a really big one.
And so I was like, can I change all of that to the point where, and this is the fruit of the tree, right? So a couple weeks ago, there was a networking event here in town. I was out of town. I was in a different market, but there's 50 business owners there. And I saw the picture on Facebook, and I saw a bunch of our people there. They got blue collar name badges on. They're wearing blue collar shirts. So I, fast forward, I'm at Topgolf. And this guy comes over to me who I've known for years, and he's in insurance space. And he was like, dude, you changed the whole market. I'm like, what are you talking about? And, now, mind you, I only started Blue Collar Connect 18 months ago, right? So it's not even that long. And he was like, before we would be in a room like that and the blue collar people would speak up, that a business question would come up, that we were running it like a mastermind, he said, and the blue collar people would step up and everybody quit listening, myself included. He was like, now the business question comes up and people turn to the blue collar people and go, what do you think about that?
Wow.
And I was like, that's interesting. Yeah. How did that happen? And that happened because we have a bunch of people in the market now, just in the Boise area, 160 business owners that are all blue collar that are thriving and winning and crushing it. And you can't go on social media and not see their success. Right? You're seeing it everywhere. And now people are starting to go, oh, these people are good business owners, and maybe they can help me with my business. So when a white collar business owner who thinks they know everything because they got an MBA or whatever, goes to a blue collar business owner and is asking their advice, then I know that my job is getting done. Yeah. And that was kind of that's a side effect of what I was trying to do. The main thing I was trying to do is help these people with their businesses. I was like, can I help them make a lot more money and turn that money into wealth and be free? I mean, we all started in business to be one thing, right? Free. Right. Even I use that term. Yep. But the number one term people use to describe their business after 1 year, and most of our members were like that, is trapped. Yeah. Trapped. And I'm like, what if I can get them back to seeing and believing in freedom and stop being trapped?
Yeah. Amazing. An amazing mission. Yeah. So what would you say to someone who feels like they are trapped? If they're in that, they've built a business that is a cage and they're just discouraged and beat up and wondering, should I close this whole thing down? What would you say to someone like that?
Yeah, I mean, and in some cases that is the right thing to do, which is what most people don't want to hear. But I talk about having the right bus, the right vehicle. And so, you backtrack it from your goal. You're like, hey, my goal is to, personal financial goal is to be worth $1 million, let's just say. Yeah. I think most people at the base level, that's what they want, is $1 million. And so let's just say $1 million in net worth without selling your business. because the sale of the business, people think all the time, I'm going to sell my business and get rich, which is the most ridiculous thing. And I can go into that, but like the reality is your business that's doing $1.5 million in revenue is probably, here's straight talk, it's probably worth about $150,000, in actuality. Maybe on the top end, 300. So is your selling of your business that you've been struggling with and fighting with and beating on for a decade going to make you rich? No. Right. And so, not for the most part, no. Some people get lucky, and we can't count on that. Like, we can't count on luck. So we know selling your business is not going to make you rich. So can your business be the driver to give you the things that you want in life? Will it give you the freedom? Will it give you the money? Will it give you this personal satisfaction? Because I was meeting with a guy yesterday. His business can make money, but I asked him a very important question. Are your customers fundamentally better off after they've done business with you?
That's a good question.
And if not, then maybe you should do something else, And so being in the right boss is super important. So, but if their business is just stuck, finding somebody who has very solid advice to give them, seeking somebody out who can go, hey, your business is here and you're here, because there's only so many books you can read and how much you can input to be able to figure that out, right? Books are a great way to do it. I usually tell people on a regular basis, because you can't hire Tony Robbins, but you can read his books, right? You can't hire Grant Cardone, but you can read his books. Charlie Munger's passed away, but you can read stuff he's written on investing. So you kind of look at all these different avenues. I usually start with books and start looking at whatever my problem is, backtrack that. And then start seeking out people either in your market or the people that have succeeded more than you. So these don't have to be business coaches. They could be people in your same industry in a different city who are using the same type of business as you. So let's just say you own a plumbing business and you're doing $500,000 a year, and you go, I need to do $5 million a year in my business in order to hit my goals. Find a person who owns a plumbing business in not the same market as you. So we're in Boise, find somebody in Salt Lake City, let's just say. And that runs a $5 million plumbing business, and ask them, just go, you have to write down your problem. What do you think is holding you back from hitting $1 million in your business when you're doing $500,000? And then call that person and go, hey, I would love to ask you a couple of questions if you give me 15 minutes of your time. And I know it's a big ask because you have nothing to give them in return, really, at the time. But this is where my business is. This is where I'm stuck. What should I do to fix it? And if they sometimes they'll give you straight up advice. They'll go, your business is all kinds of messed up, but this one problem isn't going to fix your problem. Or they'll just straight up tell you, hey, this is how you go fix it. Now you cut your time frame on it. You could go read 100 books, which I still advise you do, but you can spend a bunch of money on coaching. You could go to all these conferences, or you can just call the people who've already been there. And ask them what they did. And that's what I've done. I find the people who have built businesses way larger than I could ever imagine building mine. Way larger. So, I'll call a guy who's doing $60 million a month in his business and go, hey, if I can get access to them, and, and they usually tell me I'm undercharging. That's usually the thing that they tell me. The problem with my business. They're like, dude, you built all this stuff. You should be charging $50,000 when you're charging $5,000. But they'll cut down my time frame on getting to that next level significantly.
Gotcha.
So, and for example, I've never built a business that did more than $40 million a year in revenue. Okay. That's my top level I've ever hit. And so somebody the other day accused me of never building a big business, which I totally agree, right? $40 million is nothing compared to, some of these other people that I've mentored with. One guy in particular, he's doing $720 million a year in his business. So compared to his business, my business never even came close to that.
Sure.
But, most of the people that I'm working with on a daily basis are very far downstream from 40 million.
Yeah.
And so I usually tell people, I can get you to 25 million very efficiently. I can get you to $1 million easy. If you're in the right vehicle to get to $1 million, I can get you $1 million. 2 million, 3 million, no problem. 5 million gets a little harder, but 10 million, 20 million, that's where I start fading out I'm like, my effectiveness and as a business advisor, business consultant, fades out, not because I don't have the knowledge, it's because like it just bores me to tears, right? You know, and so you got to look at those people who are advising you and go, hey, how far upstream are they from me? Have they hit the goals that I want to hit now? Where I'm maybe doing $500,000, I want to hit $1 million. The guy who's done $5 million, he's hit that $1 million every single year for years, right? So talk to him about what it would take to get to $1 million bucks, and then when you hit $5 million, you got to stop talking to the guy who did $5 million. Right. Yeah. You got, if your next goal is say $10 million, you got to talk to the person who's done 20.
So how would someone get in touch with you or find out more about Blue Collar Connect?
You know, the best way is social media. So, you know, if you just want to get some quick and dirty, easy business advice, hitting up my social media, I post a lot of stuff on there. I'm fairly consistent about posting stuff that's useful on, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all of it. Communicating with me, usually LinkedIn or Facebook Messenger. Those are the most efficient ways to get a hold of me. So LinkedIn is the best because sometimes Facebook hides the messages people are sending me who are not friends with me, and I've kind of maxed out the number of friends I can have on Facebook. But LinkedIn is a great way to communicate with me. So getting on LinkedIn, sending me a message. You can also look up Blue Collar Connect on Facebook. If you send a message to the Facebook business page for Blue Collar Connect, I do get those messages as well. So anybody who's in the blue collar space, definitely happy to help out. If you're white collar, I could probably help you to a certain extent. Can't spend a ton of time with you, but if you get a quick and dirty question that you're like, hey, this is the biggest problem I have in my business, I can more than likely fix it in a 5-minute conversation, or at least give you the path on how to do it.
Nice. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to share all these tips, ideas, knowledge, and experience. It's been amazing. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for listening. If you found this episode insightful, I'd love it if you would subscribe to the podcast and also share it with other business owners who could benefit from the wisdom of Joe.